So there's a UR unit that kind of gets memed on and slept on because of the way that it was designed for this game. However, I actually think it could be a very solid option for the upcoming Master League Season 0 PvP event. What's up, everybody? Fortexfiend here, and welcome back to another video on SD Gundam G Generation Eternal. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about UR Narrative Gundam A-Packs, because this UR tends to get overshadowed a lot, and rightfully so, because of the way that it was designed. Specifically, it's a large machine, and also the whole terrain restriction that this unit has. But I think for this upcoming PvP event, it could be a very solid option, assuming you have it in your roster, and definitely gets slept on, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at my Narrative Gundam A-Packs. I do have mine at max limit break because this is on my whale account. I'm going to go ahead and highlight a few of the things that I feel like this unit could definitely be a very solid option for this particular upcoming PvP event. First of all, we're going to go ahead and go into details. If you take a look at its tags, it has Protagonist, and as we know, the Protagonist and Rival tags will have a stat boost for this particular event. It also has a lot of other tags available to it, such as Saikamu, Tough as Nails, Large Machine. We just recently got a ship that benefits the Saikamu tag, so that is definitely something to consider if you have access to that ship. It doesn't have the coveted one-shot killer, which I know that Lakis and Eternal are a really strong warship right now. Best warship there is, but you could still use it with some of the other available ones with all the tags that it has. So that is pretty cool right then and there. If we consider the other UR durability units that are available, such as RX-78-2 or even Barbatos, they have the Protagonist tag, but they don't have as many available options as Narrative. And I'll be doing a little bit of comparison later on in this video, but that already stands out to me. The next things that stand out to me are, first off, it's AoE attack that also has AoE attack down. While the attack down is not as strong as like a singular one at like 30% or 35%, being able to inflict attack down on multiple targets versus just one can really come in handy, because it debilitates your opponent's DPS, it's their overall DPS, which potentially allows you to survive longer. And as you know, the less damage you take, the more damage you can actually give. And when it comes to a game like this, especially with this automated PvP, the most important factor is going to be how much damage you're able to deal, because that way you're able to score as high as possible and take out as many enemy units as possible. So inflicting this AoE debuff, I think, is really strong and a very solid option. Not only that, but this unit also has a debuff that I think tends to get slept on. And I was thinking about this too when I was taking a look at this unit, but accuracy down can actually come in handy. And when you fully upgrade this particular weapon skill, if we take a look at it right here, I wish I could do it now, but you can have it all the way at 17%. And I'm going to tell you right now, I took this unit to Eternal Road Stage 1. I know that's PvE content, but this was the durability unit, or one of them, that I took. And this accuracy down actually came in handy because it gave my units a chance to be able to evade. And especially when it comes to my durability units, when my durability units were able to evade with a support defend, whenever that happens, it actually allows you to keep that support defense so they could do it again, because technically, since they didn't get hit during the support defense, they could do it again. So that really came in handy for me with this particular debuff, and I think it could potentially be a very underrated debuff for this upcoming PvP event. So those are some of the offensive capabilities and supportive capabilities that I think really makes this particular unit stand out. And if we take a look at its passives, it has increased defense, it has increased accuracy, so it has an easier chance of being able to actually hit its targets. And afterwards, it does have special damage reduced level 3. So it takes special weapons damage, at a 30% reduction, which, if we consider the UR attackers right now that are considered meta or top tier, this thing essentially counteracts that, because a lot of their hardest hitting skills are going to be special. The only ones that I could think of that bypass this is Exia, which Exia is one of the top units, so Exia is definitely a counter to this. And then also Easy 8 and Crossbones. Their highest, hitting ability is unfortunately not special weapons damage, but the rest of the other UR attackers, such as Sazabi, Strike Freedom, even Zeta Gundam, which just came out. They're all special weapons, so this is definitely a durability unit that can counteract that type of damage and take it at a reduced cost. Now, we're going to be doing a little bit of comparison here, so I'm going to switch screens right over here. So when I filtered through the tags, this is the ones that are for the protagonist UR durability. So we know that Gundam Narrative, has that increased defense at 13,000 if you have it fully limit broken. Take a look at the other two. So if we take a look at Gundam RX-78, 10,000. If we take a look at Barbados, 10,000. So Narrative has a massive defense capability over those other two in terms of defensive stats. Now with RX-78, this one is more of like an evasion type of a tank, and it also has the highest HP. Unfortunately, Narrative does have the lowest HP, but the increased defense and also having that passive of, special damage reduced, I think gives it an edge compared to RX-78. Now when it comes to Gundam Barbados, this is more of an offensive tank and also has, the accuracy down and also has the singular attack down. This thing does have a higher HP than Narrative. However, it does have the beam weapons reduced, so that's also pretty handy. However, I don't think it's nearly as handy as having the special weapons damage reduced. But you guys let me know what you think. But I actually think that Gundam Narrative, Narrative Gundam A-Packs, is going to be a very, very underrated, slept-on unit in terms of like your durability units that you could be choosing for PvP. So if you guys happen to have this unit built, I actually think it's a really, really strong option. Now, in terms of its pilot or its signature pilot, Jonah is actually pretty solid. He has Force Guard, he has HP Repair, which is life-saving, and he also has Save Energy, which can come in handy for longer fights. So I don't think this is going to be really nearly as useful for this particular event. However, he is one of the few UR pilots. There's only two that can double support defend. We have Mika, and then we have him. So if you're looking for a pilot that could double support defend, this is going to be a fantastic option as well. So I actually, again, think that this unit is slept on a lot because of the lack of terrain capability. But because this is going to be in space combat, I actually think that you guys should potentially consider using this unit. I'm going to be definitely testing him out for the upcoming PvP event and seeing how well it can perform, especially with that AoE attack debuff and the accuracy down at 17%. I actually think this unit has a chance of, really, really shining for this particular event. But let me know what you guys think. Oh, one thing that I also wanted to mention, which was brought to my attention in my last video, but for durability units, paying attention to their movement stat is actually key because that plays into how many tiles they can support defend up to. So let's say like you have your attacking unit that's 5 spaces away from your Narrative. As long as you're, within 1 to 5 spaces away, the Narrative will be there to support defense. So that's something to take into consideration when you're choosing your mobility unit, is make sure that they have good movement. So that way they have the maximum amount of tiles that they can move to be able to defend your units. But that's going to go ahead and conclude this video. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on using Narrative Gundam A-Packs for your durability unit. I actually think it's a really, really strong choice. I'm going to be using it myself, but I'd love to know your guys' thoughts for those of you that do have this unit in your roster. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video and stay blessed, everybody.